about why he wouldn't want them to become seen as a priest in the culture?
I'll finally find how to use this. No, I really don't know the answer. I don't really know the answer to the question. I think maybe it was, my guess would be that it had something to do with Francis's humility. With humility, and I think that again is Chestertonian. Chesterton said he found one of the things that he found strange when he became a Catholic was how matter-of-fact Catholics were about their religion. Like Chesterton said, he trembled when he received Holy Communion. He was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed by it, and he found. How can I put it? Everyone he met was a revelation to him of Christian truth. I remember this wonderful thing. It's never been collected, but in one of his uncollected essays, he talks about reading the gospel to a child, a little girl, or a little boy, it doesn't matter which, a child sitting on his lap while he read the story of the Passion of Christ. And when Pilate, in the trial of Christ, Chesterton, by the way, they always bring up the question of anti-Semitism in Chesterton, which is preposterous, but Chesterton said, is this anti-Semitic? Chesterton said, our Lord wasn't tried by Jewish law, but by Jewish lawyers. And anyway, the trial of Pilate, Chesterton was reading it to the little child, and when Pilate said to our Lord, what is truth? Chesterton said, the little boy laughed. And he said, that's easy. And Chesterton said, this is what it means to be near to God when you do not even see the difficulty. So I think there is a kind of charming Franciscan spirit in Chesterton where he loved listening to people. He wasn't imposing. He refused to be, the guru imposing his truth. He thought that ordinary people revealed the gospel to him. He puts this very memorably in all his writing. Do you remember what he said? He walked through a London slum in Protestant England, which of course in Chesterton's day, and even today, even more so, was not only not Catholic, but not even very Christian. But he said he walked through the slums, and he regretted that the absence of Christian art. He said when he walked in Belgium or Christian Europe, you would see a roadside cross. But he said, no, you didn't see that in the slums. But Chesterton said, I saw no crucifixes there, but I saw many crucifixions. That's the sacramentalism of Chesterton. Yeah, sure.
I always think about other things, but Flannery O'Connor had that same simplicity, that same childlike way of writing, and yet she wrote in a kind of savage stories, that are strange for many people. And I wrote an essay a while back, and I used as a quotation, only God can be an atheist, and he has his reasons. I thought that was a very profound quote, which I understand as best one can understand those things. And yet I had comments from different people that read the essay, that read it said that I put it off. And that was the one thing that was commented on, that nobody could grab that paradox. Do you know what I mean? Nobody could see that, and yet for me it's obvious. So would you mind commenting on it, please?
Well,
thank you.
I think Chesterton has commented on that. Oh dear. I think Chesterton has commented on that very point, doesn't he, when he talks about our Lord's cry from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And he said, our Lord expressed in that cry, he understood and expressed all the loneliness of the atheist. It was as if, in a wonderful moment, an extraordinary moment, as if God himself had become an atheist. Yeah, I think that paradox for Chesterton is not just cheap contradiction, but seeing in life itself these apparent contradictions which always reveal deep truths. And I think Flannery O'Connor, yes, the glory of the commonplace, of the ordinary. That's where Chesterton found ordinary people. He said in his first novel, The Napoleon of Notting Hill, and the humor of that. You remember the first sentence of that novel, which begins, "The human race to which so many of my readers belong." Anyway, in The Napoleon of Notting Hill, the end of it, the two main characters, Chesterton always goes by twos. You have King Oberon, who is the humorist, for whom nothing is real except a joke. And then you have the fanatic, Oberon, Adam Wayne, who has taken seriously the king's jokes and made an ideology of them. And at the end of the novel, I think Oberon says, we represent the modern world. That's what's wrong with the modern world. Humor has been separated from seriousness. We are two lobes of the brain. And if we're going to have a solution to the modern problem, the two things have to join together. That we have to, again, learn to be happy, and we have to have a certain lightness of touch. Doesn't Chesterton say that Satan fell by the force of gravity? That to be heavy is easy, but to be light and joyous, to see the fun of life, that's Franciscan and Chestertonian. And it's Flannery O'Connor too, what she found in her Bible Belt society, living parables in the lives of the Southerners. She's never making fun of them in her stories. She's got a great reverence for the ordinary, and we hate the phrase common people. Remember Joseph Mitchell, who wrote for the New Yorker when it was a good magazine, and New York, we'd like him too. He's Chestertonian, and he said in his McSorley's Wonderful Saloon book, he said, one of the critics said he wrote about the little people, and he answered, he said, "Little people, listen, the people I write about you are as big as you, whoever you are." And that's Chestertonian. He never patronized. At the end of the Napoleon of Notting Hill, that the ordinary man, the common man, whom mere geniuses like you and me can only worship and adore. That the glory of the commonplace. Flannery O'Connor, Chesterton. Francis.
Just to kind of respond in another way, Sean, to
Your question about atheism, and there's a lovely line in the Francis book where Chesterton says that the darkest moment for the atheist is when he has much to be thankful for and no one to be thankful to, which I think it sums up the dilemma. And this notion of the sacramental ordinariness of things, or the ordinary sacramentality of things, is kind of well summed up in Meister Eckhart, the great medieval mystic, where he says that it's not what we do which makes us holy. We make holy what we do. We make holy what we do. And I think that was Chesterton, because Chesterton had this kind of almost instinctive sort of sacralizing of things. I mean, if you look at his writing, he's always kind of making signs of the cross. He was kind of blessing people with his cigar, and so he was making holy what he did. And that's the invitation that we must